Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. If you can hear me, may I request that you please just type yes in the chat box so I know we're good. Brilliant. All right, so thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know it's a challenging time of the day, but thank you for making the time for the next hour or so. Joining me today is a very senior colleague, Anjali Mata, who is also the academic head for music and the manager for Trinity in the north of India. Also joining us is Sachin Das. Of course, you all know Sachin, the general manager of Trinity, and my colleague, Chanda, who will be helping with queries in the Q&A box as we go forward this afternoon. So exciting times, and thank you for joining us. I think the bulk of us are in, and to be respectful for your time, I think we shall begin. My one request, please, if you have any questions, if you can raise them in the Q&A box, or which would be a little easier to track, as well as the chat. We will try and answer questions as we go along. But of course, if there are any outstanding questions, then we will also take that right at the end. So on that note, sit back and enjoy the new digital grades and diplomas in drama that we have just launched. So here goes. So in today's webinar, I'll be spending a little time explaining to you a little bit about the rationale of this syllabus, what's changed and what's not, a little bit also about the qualifications and all that entails. My colleague Anjali will be taking you through the entry process, as well as the filming guidelines, and then we look at an example case as well. And then, of course, we will look at the Q&A. So we're not going to be touching upon every individual syllabus. This is more an orientation on all of the digital grades in the speech and drama suite. Of course, if you have any specific questions, please do list it, and we'll take it right at the end. Or if I see it pop up, then I will answer as we go along as well. So a changing world in many ways, and yet not so in many ways as well. But essentially, I think we all understand that performance and our love for it hasn't changed. The digital offering is basically a response to a changing world that we now live in. And hence, when we talk about it being designed for digital, it's all about learning and assessment activities that flourish in the digital space. So very often, I'm sure you recall this, as teachers, parents want to know what happens in an exam room and how do the children actually perform. So well, now in the case of a digital exam, you actually have an artifact, a recording, which the examiner gets to see as well as you. So in some ways it hasn't changed, and yet some ways it has. But importantly, for the last 140 years, we've done this exceptionally well, particularly in these areas. And now we're just doing it a little differently to encompass technology as well. So I can see questions pouring in about how do we register and so on and so forth. We will come to that a little later. But for now, we're talking, for those of you just joining us, welcome. We're talking about the touch points of the digital syllabus and the way going forward. Of course, while we're embracing technology, many things haven't changed. The value of the qualification, the academic rigor, in fact, it's been enhanced in many ways. We still have the same regulating authorities and so on. The most important thing, I think, to realize is that this is like the times we live in now. You have version 1 and then you have version 2. This is version 1. And going forward, there will be several more iterations that will enhance and offer more differentiation and more opportunity as we go forward with assessments. But most importantly, digital grades and diplomas are here to stay. And the whole digital format is also here to stay, while we'll of course continue with the face-to-face opportunities and exams as well. So what's changed? between the interim solution that we had for a few months in between and now. The one big change is that there are no calculations. If you would recall, in the last interim solution, there was a calculation which was implied that examiners would make based on an algorithm and past historical data. Well, that is not happening now. Everything is assessed directly. Hence the necessity to adapt some of the tasks and recalibrate some of the performance metrics so that we can do this all just as effectively and as authoritatively as we have in a face-to-face exam. Of course, digital also means a lot of things will happen very fast, from entry taking to updates to the turnaround on reports, your digital access to that as well. Support and queries will also be in faster real times because everything is now digital. And the good news, though, is that there's a lot of IT and softwares that are backing up all of this to make this experience simpler, more effective, and speedy as well. Of course, we've also seen that based on our summer experiences that some were challenged by video files, so we now have larger video files as well. So a quick question is coming from Will C. William, I think, about how quickly you will get your results. Well, we'll be talking about that, but to answer your question, out of turn, 2 to 3 weeks from the day you take your exam. Well, let's continue to look at what's changed, an inclusion of adapted supporting tasks. So now this is an interesting discussion we'll have today. Inclusion of reflection responses to set questions, all right, which normally used to happen with the examiner, will now continue to happen, except that there will be many more options for you to choose from. And of course, to help you keep track and streamline your entire submission, we have a form known as the submission information form, which you will provide with each upload that you make of all the material that your students will make. What has not changed? The one thing that has not changed is this is about an authentic engagement. So hence, the video must be in one continuous performance. That part hasn't changed. The fact that Trinity's drama panel will still continue to assess our drama exams, that has also not changed. Candidates will make their own uploads into the exam portal, that hasn't changed. And of course, providing a list of pieces on the submission information form, it's now more formal, but that has not changed from the earlier version as well. Moving on from there, my apologies, let's just have a look at what's the difference between a face-to-face exam, the interim one that we had for a little over a month, and the current digital grades. So in the case of the face-to-face exams, we have candidates performing their pieces. That's sometimes interspersed in the, or sometimes after each relevant task, a discussion with the examiner. And then of course, there are some supporting tasks which are the examiner offers you on the spur of the moment. But we normally know what those tasks are. So it could be storytelling, it could be sight reading, and so on. In the interim solution, we just had pieces, and we had the calculation, which was, I referred to a little earlier, which was made on the basis of historical data and algorithm, and so on. So the digital grades now are exactly like the face-to-face, except that now you have reflective questions and responses from a bank of questions that you can choose. And the supporting tasks are adapted and will be refreshed on a weekly basis. And going forward, I can also tell you that this will be a great chance for us to integrate artificial intelligence into the generation of those question banks that will be regenerated every week, week after week. So this is with regard to the overall comparison. As you can see, we've the digital grades offer everything more of the face-to-face exam, and probably even more, because a lot of it is happening and changing on a weekly basis. So if we were to look at the qualifications overall and in general, here's what we would cover. So this particular offering of, or this version of the offering right now covers all solo grades in all syllabuses except for communication skills. We also cover all drama, the drama and performing ATCL, and we cover the communication skills ATCL. What is not included is the performance certificates, pair and group exams, and the communication skills syllabus, which will come in a couple of weeks, but it will be a separate syllabus altogether. So if we are to look at the syllabi that we have on the website for you to access, these are the syllabi. Now, each of them within themselves have slightly earlier versions, which for this current round or for this current period are all available. So if we look further into all of these, you will see that in speech and drama and performing text, we have the performing text syllabus from the Acting and Speaking 2017 syllabus. We have speech and drama in its entirety of the 2017 syllabus. And we also have speech and drama of the 2020 syllabus. Now, in the case of digital exams going forward, there is no such thing as a session or a cutoff or a particular period of months when we do these assessments. From now onwards, we can go live and you can keep doing assessments whenever you choose at your convenience. But you must know that some of these older syllabi were meant to be retired, and they will go ahead and be retired. That cutoff date is the 31st of May, 2021. So the performing text 2017 version, speech and drama 2017, acting 2017, performance arts 2010 will all cease on the 31st of May, 2021. So if you are a teacher and you are preparing candidates, you have a lot of time, of course, to still use the syllabus, but please note any upload 1st of June, 2021 cannot have these syllabi as the arcing or overarching syllabus that you are referring to. And similarly, in the case of the musical theatre syllabus, we currently have the 2010 version, which will lapse on the 31st of May. Now, when we come to the diplomas, these are all new calibrated digital offerings. So there is no end date. What we are currently offering is the performing diplomas, and that would be in speech and drama, musical theatre, performance arts, and communication skills. Currently, we have not yet introduced the teaching diplomas or the performance certificates, pair and group exams, and the communication skills. So like I mentioned, in subsequent iterations going forward, there will be additional release details that, of course, we will continue to share with you as soon as we get updates on that. Okay, so exams. Let's have a look at what's happening over here. So if we look at the exam structure, we still are, like I mentioned in the earlier slide, it's very much the same construct. There are pieces that our candidates perform, there are supporting tasks, and there are reflection tasks. But I think if you really capture this one slide, you would kind of get the overall gist to this entire afternoon's presentation. And that is that this is the journey from a candidate's point of view if you are taking the assessment. So when you, as a candidate, what you must first do is choose your syllabus and your performance material, which is really your pieces that you're going to be using. Once you've got that together, you then need to assess the stimulus material for the week in which you will be doing or uploading your assessment. And that stimulus material can be of the types that are mentioned over there. either a storytelling prompt or a sight reading prompt or an improvisation or modification prompt. So you need to access that. That is refreshed on a weekly basis. Thereafter, you need to also access the questions for the reflection task, which are on the Trinity website and which look like the green PDF document that you can see alongside that point. So that's the document that carries all the reflection tasks. So just to be clear, the reflection tasks where the questions are asked, there are a bank of questions grade-wise, which you as a teacher can help your students pick 2 or 3 or as per the grade, what the grade suggests. So there are more than what the recommended number of questions that you should choose, so that you have a little bit of flexibility to pick the kind of reflections that you would like to really reflect on. And then of course comes the filming the exam as one continuous performance. There is a video which we will refer to a little later. And once I'm done with this formal bit, I will share with you in a couple of links that you can very quickly click on and have access to all that material. I'm sure you've already found it by now, but just in case, to make it a little simpler for you, I will share with you some links that will keep it a little faster. So once you've got your filming together, you then need to complete the submission information form. Now, this is a very interesting form because it really captures all that you're offering to Trinity for assessment. And I know a little earlier in the day, I got a question from a teacher who said, I'm quite familiar with providing a PDF or a photograph of a supporting task or of a text of a prose or poem, but what do I do if I'm adapting and hence editing from the original prose? So my answer to that over here would be that you need to offer up the entire prose, but highlight all the areas that you're using, and thereafter in the submission information form, you have a chance to mention over there that I'm offering this, and this. And for the supporting material, I am offering this, which is the highlighted portion, is what the candidate will be performing. So this is just a summary of the information that you're uploading. And then of course you prepare to upload your file. Now, wherever you see me use little pop-outs in terms of visuals, that means that these guidances are available on the website. So right from your supporting tasks to your reflection questions, to your filming guidance, to your submission information form, to your to help with uploading your file, there are detailed documents to help you and to support you going forward. So this is the entire journey that a candidate would go through from the point of them choosing to do an assessment. And I think it's important that you also know what the journey is from an examiner's point of view. So an examiner sitting anywhere in the world will receive your submitted exam video. They will award marks for pieces like they always do. They will award marks for the supporting tests. They will award marks for the reflection task. And importantly, they will write their comments before, of course, the final result is announced. So we will be talking in a subsequent slide a little later about this entire timeline process. But from the moment you normally upload your exam video, within about 2 weeks, we should have a provisional result, which will be shared with you thereafter. And within a week from having a provisional result, we should have the final result. And thereafter, 2 weeks from there, you would get your certificate. So this is just rough timelines for you to plan around or plan with. Moving forward, these are the kind of support documents that are there online. And so in addition to all the detailed syllabi, I've highlighted the one in red, which is the diploma one. So you have these 4, plus you have the diploma one. You also have a guidance on how to film. You also, and I've taken, sorry for making this a little colorful, but I thought I should point this out individually because over here, you will see that for your supporting tasks, it would vary from grade to grade what you need to do. So on the supporting tasks page, you have 4 different downloads. So please don't just look for one, all right? In certain grades, there are certain tasks. So there's a storytelling task, and I've actually picked out for you as an example, what is currently on the website for this period of 23rd to 29th November. So red matches with red. All right, so whichever grades or have a storytelling task as part of the impromptu task, this is where you will find your prompt. Similarly, if you've got sight reading, then this is where you will find your prompt in a separate PDF document that talks about sight reading in an unseen text. Similarly, if you've got improvisation or some sort of modification, my apologies, to any of your tasks, then you will have a separate PDF for that. And finally, of course, if you have got an impromptu talk, like you would have in the case of the speech and drama ATCL, then you would also have a separate PDF for that as well. And finally, of course, there's also, like I mentioned, a document that explains to you, it's on the left-hand bottom corner of your screen, how to upload your file with detailed instructions, even down to how to compress a video in different formats, whether it's Apple or Android. And it even tells you how to label your videos that you are uploading. So as a summary of what happens as an exam, if you are, you can click a screenshot of this if you'd like. But importantly, you must choose the relevant exam syllabus and select your pieces. All right. So you can do that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months in advance. There's absolutely no problem. The week in which you have planned to record your assessment, which normally means within 2 weeks of you submitting it for entries, within 2 weeks you would normally get your link. Thereafter, you have 2 further weeks to actually choose that, yes, during this week I'm going to upload my exam and record it and so on. So point 2 is that's the week you need to access the stimulus material. And you must please keep in mind that the stimulus material that you are using should be live and valid for that week that you are actually recording and uploading. All right, so those 3 things go together. Accessing the stimulus material, recording, and uploading must all happen within that week's period. All right. The third thing that you must also keep handy is your reflection tasks. Like I said, you've normally in support guide, you have about a few options. So you must choose which 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 questions that you're going to be answering and keep that handy while recording, so that either if there is a caregiver in the room, they can ask you that question, or if you're doing it on your own, that you could actually read out the question and say, in response to this question, I would like to tell you, or I would like to say this. All right. And after you've done that, I'm on point 4, where you complete your submission information form. You record your video in the order of the tasks as provided in the syllabus. You then take photographs or scans of any pieces chosen that your candidate is doing. And you, if you've, like I mentioned earlier, if you are editing part of a text, please give us the whole text, but highlight either in yellow or highlight legibly the part that the candidate is performing, so that we know that this is the part that is being adapted. And then, of course, comes the part where you're going to be actually filming yourself and recording yourself. That is guidance. Please have a look at that. And finally, of course, record and begin the next process. All right. At this stage, I'm going to invite Anjali, who's going to take you through the next two stages. Good afternoon, Anjali. Thank you for doing this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dale.
All right, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. So if you could just keep changing the slides for me, I'll
Sure.
tell you when.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yes, yes. So hello, everyone. I'm just going to talk you through the entry process for these digital examinations. The first thing we're going to talk about is fees. There is a new fee structure, and the good news is that it is lower than that for the face-to-face exams. So I hope I have a lot of smiling faces in the audience. Now, just a little word about candidates who paid the fees before the pandemic, which would be February or March. These candidates will need to appear for a digital or face-to-face exam before 31st December 2021. Please be clear, not 2020, but 2021. They must complete either a digital or a face-to-face exam. Existing candidates who are wanting to convert to digital may apply for a refund of the difference in fees after they upload their video. So they will make their entry. They will not be paying anything because we have the fee. And after they upload the video, they can apply to the customer support office where they have paid their fees for a refund. New candidates, of course, will deposit the fee as per the procedure followed by the office in your city. How can you deposit the fees now? You can do, sorry, Dale, you need to go. Where are you? Yeah, thanks. So you can make a cash or check deposit at the designated branch of HDFC Bank using the customized HDFC fee slip. Make sure you don't use a normal fee slip. This customized fee slip is available at the local Trinity office. You can also make an NEFT transfer to the HDFC Bank. Details of this you can get from the Trinity office. In the major centers, the metros, you could pay by credit card, and you'll have to check which centers have this facility, but it is the larger metros, Bombay, Chennai, Delhi, Kolkata, maybe Bangalore and Hyderabad. They have a credit card facility. Dale, next slide. Thanks. How can you submit your entry? Now your entry and the proof of payment needs to come together in one email, and you can do that by also mentioning the bank reference number for your proof of payment. There is a TCL enrollment file which will be sent to you by email from the office. There are separate files. I'm sorry, this has come as music and rock and pop. So there is a separate file for drama. Make sure you fill the right file. PAN number is now compulsory. It needs to be given, and this should be filled in the external ID column. I will show that to you on the mass enrollment sheet. This is required as per RBI specifications. In case you want more information on this, please contact your Trinity office. A very important thing when you make your entry is that you give your date preference for the exam. You must do this because there are no closing dates for the exams and the fees. There are no sessions as we used to have. This is a product that is going to be there available all the time. So this is how it works. If you would like to do the exam between, for example, 15th to 30th December or 1st to 15th Jan, you must give your date preference to the office. And you must also submit your entry 1 month before you want to do the exam. And make sure, of course, all information filled is correct, especially email ID, as that is where the username and password will come. It will be in this exam format very difficult to make any changes once the order is submitted. Thank you, Dale. Next one. So this is the enrollment file that you have, which will come to you by email. You need to fill the pink columns. These are compulsory. I'm going to do a bit of a close-up of this in the next file, but here you can see the first name, last name, date of birth, and then gender. After that, there is an external ID column into which you put the PAN number. And then you have the exam suite. We'll look at that again in a little more detail on the next slide, and the product name. So here, if you look, when under exam suite, you must choose the digital product. You will have, if you're entering your candidates for drama and speech, in brackets, digital will be there. Please do not choose it without digital. If you're entering for performing text, or you're entering, that all comes under drama and speech. For acting, you will have digital in brackets. And in the examination product name, again, you must have speech and drama, solo, grade will be there. Choose the correct syllabus that you are using, and again, digital. Because the other ones, the face-to-face exam options are also there. Please make sure you choose the digital. And of course, email ID has to be there. Yes, Dale, next. As I said, there's no closing dates at all. So when entries are received between 1st and 15th of the month, you will receive your login details by 30th to 31st of the month. And for entries received between 16th and the end of the month, you will receive login details by 15th of the following month, latest by 15th. So within 14 days of the entries being submitted, we will send you a mail when we submit the entries. You will receive your login details. Once you receive the login details, you have to upload your performance within 14 days. So you will choose your stimulus from the website as per the week that suits you. So it's 14 days after you receive the login details. And when you log in, you'll see a space to upload your video file and all the exam documents. There will be a checklist also on the submission page to make sure that you have uploaded everything. Before you submit, you will be asked to have a responsible adult, that's a teacher, parent, or a guardian, sign a declaration to confirm your identity and that the work you are uploading is your own. There is no need to show an identity card. This confirmation will be more than enough. Your submission will be confirmed by a message on the screen. If you receive this message, rest assured your exam has been submitted safely. So don't be in a hurry to log out once you have uploaded your video and the documents. You must wait till you receive that message on your screen. For the upload, as Dale said earlier, the video file size is 1 GB. In case it goes over that, you have some suggestions for compressing your videos. Also make sure that all the supporting documentation is all uploaded with your video. So you'll be able to see the full list in those PDFs that Dale had shown you. Also, the submission information form, which will be shown to you a little later, is a very important document to upload. This will give all the information necessary about your exam. As Dale said, the results are going to be a quick turnaround. The marking will take up to 2 weeks from the date of submission. It could also happen quicker. You will receive an email to let you know that your exam has been marked. You can then go back to your account, log in, read the feedback from the examiner and see your provisional result. Now, the provisional result really is going to be the whole result, the total result, but till it is verified, it is still called provisional. And the final result, once it is verified, will take another week. Your certificate should follow within 2 weeks. So really, we are looking at a 1-month turnaround for certificates and results. All this is on the website. These PDFs are there, how you should label your document, your exam, how you need to prepare the files for upload, what are the various apps you can use for compressing or resizing your videos. So please go through these in details. We can also send them to you from the customer support office. This is the submission information form. Dale, would you like to talk them through this one?
Yeah, sure. So on the submission information form, as you can see, you have details like candidate name, your candidate ID, the grade, and the date you're uploading it. You must please be very clear to indicate which version of the syllabus that you are using. So Anjali mentioned a little while ago, in the Excel sheet, you will actually use the drop down that says digital, all right? But while using this particular form, you will just choose which syllabus you are referring to. So don't look for the word digital over here. We understand that this is all in a digital process. Now, when it comes to the repertoire or the pieces that you're offering for consideration, it's important to list it down in the order of the performance order. So that would normally be your poem, your prose, your extract or your mime, and so on. And there again, please, you can mention the title, but you could also maybe add a comment if you're using an adapted or edited version over there to say the portion in highlight in yellow is the adapted portion which the candidate is performing. So this entire document goes to an examiner and they have a chance to seek clarification from it. In addition to this, of course, you will mention your supporting task stimulus. You write that down over there. And of course, you then make a declaration with regards all that is mentioned on the lower end of the form. Like we mentioned earlier, if the candidate is below the age of 18, then of course the parent or caregiver can sign or the teacher can sign. If the candidate, of course, is an adult, then there's no problem, they sign themselves.
Okay, so now we come to the filming guidelines. And these are pretty much like they were for the interim solution. So there's nothing really new here. And there's a very detailed PDF document which will give you all the guidance. There is a video that you can watch on our website. And there's also a link here. So when you receive this presentation, you will have this link, which takes you through how to film. And it's actually all the subjects in one. So there's music and there's drama also. Music is a little more tricky. So there's just a little portion towards the end about drama. But your PDFs have detailed guidance. which we're going to show you in the next slide. So this is what the PDF looks like. And they have given you information about what you need to do before you begin. Of course, you need to remember that it is one continuous filming of the whole recording. You cannot stop, you cannot join videos, you cannot edit videos. So everything, your performance, your supporting tasks, everything one after the other. And of course, needless to say, it should be a quiet environment. The lighting should be correct. And your camera or your phone should have enough battery charge in it so it doesn't stop. Also, the video file will become very heavy if you keep it on HD. So do switch off the HD or choose a lower HD level. And microphones in mobile devices vary in quality. So the audio on your recording might just cut or distort. There will be audio settings on your device which will help you deal with that. You can read through all this. The camera position, of course, has to be an on-camera view so that the candidate is fully visible, and the camera should be at eye level. Somebody can hold it or you can have it on a tripod, and you should have enough space to perform. That is necessary because our exams, as you know, are all about performance, and you will need the space to be able to do justice to this. And of course, health and safety ensure that body and voice are properly warmed up. Performers should not undertake anything that is beyond physical or vocal capabilities. And there are a few other points here. And props and stage furniture must be set up and removed by the candidate within the total time limit for the performance. So please go through this document well in detail, so you won't have any problems once you do that.
Thank you, Anjali. All right, so we're going to look at actually a live example. And of course, we could have done this with any grade, but I've just chosen one just to talk you through what should be your next steps as you look at preparing your candidate. So of course, let's look at a speech and drama, the 2017 version, grade 2. And I've put up for your benefit what the exam details are. Now, of course, performing all of this you can do in advance, where you choose your prose passage, your poem, and your prepared mime. So this is stuff that you can be ready with in advance. I want to spend a little time talking about point 4 and point 5. So in point 4, you can see that the candidate now has a choice to either to read at sight a passage of prose. And the prose passage to be used is published on the Trinity website and changed every week. So now, obviously, this means that when you are preparing for this task, what you need to do is the week in which you are looking to record your assessment, you need to look at firstly the digital drama, digital grades and diploma support guide. Inside that, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's on page 3, there is an overview which you see over here in the middle that tells you which all grades, which subjects, what are the tasks that the candidate must do. And in the case of sight reading, further into this very same document, you will see a detailed guidance on what the candidate must do and what you as a teacher need to help the candidate be familiar with, so that when they are actually performing this task that may come to them in that very same week, they are familiar with how to go about interpreting, what is the objective of the task, and so on. So this is what you need to do as your prep work when you're preparing to go forward. And of course, when it comes to the actual week that you're going to be recording, all right, you will see that I've highlighted, this is the one PDF that you need to look at, which comes under the supporting tasks category. And this is for the period 23rd to 29 November. Now here you see that you have two options that you could choose from. So you need to choose just one, and you can either choose the option on the left, which is a sight reading passage, or you could choose another sight reading passage, which is the option provided on the right. All right, so this is with regard to task number 4. Now, task 4 also gives you the option to invent and tell a story based on a picture. So like I said, when you're preparing your candidate, you go through all of these, except that over here, you look at the storytelling section, all right, to familiarize the candidate with what is the objective and how to prepare for this task. And then, of course, the week in which you're recording, you now need to look for the supporting task stimulus, but the storytelling one. So in the earlier one, you looked at sight reading. Here you're looking at storytelling, and it will mention over here this date range. So as you can see, for this particular week, there are two options again for the picture that the candidate can use as a reference guide. All right, so this is the second half of task 4. So task 4 has an either or, and as you can see, even within each of the choices, there's an either or option. All right, which brings me to task number 5, which is where the candidate gives an impromptu response to set questions. This normally used to happen live with an examiner, but here, of course, the important thing to realize is that it's not so much about testing a candidate on the spur of the moment as much as it's about testing their ability to understand and to reflect and to interpret various aspects of what they are studying. So with this approach, we've, again, when you're preparing for this task, you will go through the digital grade and diploma support guide. In there, you will see right at the bottom, it talks about all the reflection tasks on page 13 onwards. And this is what all the reflection tasks are. So you will, there is literally detailed reflection questions grade-wise. And in this slide, you will see that it also explains to you how to prepare for this reflection, what is the objective, all right? And thereafter, in this particular case of grade 2, the candidate must choose a total of 2 or 3 questions, although they have been given an option of 5 questions. So we as teachers, while we're preparing them, I think it'll be lovely if you get them to be reflective on all 5. It'll just deepen their understanding, deepen their knowledge, and more importantly, they become a lot more familiar with what the material that they're engaging with. All right, so there's also a time indication of how long the time should be for this task. All right, so that would give you an approximation of how deep or how wide should be the candidate's response to any of the questions. All right, this brings us now right to the end, where I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so that we can take on some questions and some answers.